I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Dean with the Joe Blow Movie Network. Sometimes movies could have turned out drastically different if you were to substitute certain actors involved. Having said that, let's count down the top 10 actors who turned down huge roles. Number 10 is Denzel Washington turning down possibly one of the biggest roles of his career. And with his success, that's really saying something. Denzel was originally offered the role of Detective Mills from the David Fincher classic Seven. We all know that role now as portrayed by Brad Pitt, but Washington passed on it after believing it was too dark of a movie for the average audience member to watch it. When questioned about it, he has voiced some regret over his decision. Julia Roberts has Molly Ringwald to thank for setting up her career to take a massive rise in popularity as well as an Oscar nom for Best Actress. Ringwald was coming off a string of successes in the 80s and had her choice of nearly anything in Hollywood at the time. That's when she was offered the part of Vivian Ward in Pretty Woman, which she turned down for unknown reasons. Luckily, Julia Roberts was finally selected and ended up with the mega success that accompanied that role. If number 8 had turned out this way, it basically just wouldn't be fair to everyone else out there. We all know Alan Grant as the dinosaur expert from Jurassic Park. We also know him to be played by Sam Neill, probably the role he is most known for now. However, the role was originally offered to Harrison Ford, which would have worked out fantastically if you ask me. But for one man to play Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and then be the lead in Jurassic Park, that's too much success for just one man. Number 7 is somewhat of a sad story, but it's hard to be sympathetic based on his other successes. Kevin Costner was originally offered the role of Andy Dufresne from the Shawshank Redemption. Why is that sad, you might ask? Well, Costner turned down the role to focus on his futuristic epic Waterworld. If you're a cinema buff at all, you know what a terrible choice he made when comparing the two. Tim Robbins, of course, was chosen for the lead, and the movie went on to be a huge success, while Waterworld ended up being one of the biggest flops in cinematic history. Number 6 is about the titular lead role in Forrest Gump. We all know Tom Hanks earned his second Oscar for Best Actor with this one, but do you know he wasn't even close to being the first choice for the role? That person originally cast was John Travolta. Wow, I can't even imagine. Travolta has since said turning it down was the biggest mistake of his career. Fun fact, the second and third choices were Bill Murray and then Chevy Chase. And once again, I say wow, I can't even imagine. Supposedly, Jodie Foster was the original choice for Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs, according to screenwriter Ted Talley. But the director's first choice was actually Michelle Pfeiffer. Luckily for Foster, Pfeiffer ended up turning down the role due to the dark subject matter and heavy amount of gore in the film. After release, Foster's career skyrocketed after the movie ended up winning Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay. Odds are it would have been Pfeiffer's biggest role of her career, and that's why it lands here at number 5. Number 4 is another iconic role that could have belonged to a different actor. We all know Harrison Ford is the one and only Indiana Jones, but that role originally belonged to Tom Selleck. In fact, he was chosen to play the role only to turn it down afterwards due to scheduling conflicts with his hit TV series of the time, Magnum P.I. As he did when there was trouble trying to find an actor to play Han Solo, Ford walks in and saves the day once again and takes on another major geek icon. Number 3 is Jack Nicholson, who turned down the role of Michael Corleone in The Godfather. In a 2004 interview, Nicholson spoke about passing on the role because he thought Italians should play Italians. It was never a situation where he thought he couldn't do it, but instead he said it was a role that wasn't really his to take. Based on his continued success afterwards, I don't think he made a bad decision. Well, nor do I think the movie suffered without his involvement. Definitely a win-win. Number 2 is definitely a role that I'm happy to see was replaced. 1999 saw the release of the game-changing movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves in the lead role. However, that role was originally offered to Will Smith. Smith passed on it to make Wild Wild West. Yikes. When asked about his choice in hindsight, Smith says he would have messed it up at the time because he believed he was not mature enough of an actor to let the script tell the story. Somehow I totally believe that. The last thing we needed was for Neo to yell out, "Oh hell nah!" At number 1 is Sean Connery turning down the role of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. Let that sink in for a second. If you ask me, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I do wonder how that role would have turned out with Connery instead of Ian McKellen, but I think I'm happy with the idea either way. Connery reportedly turned down the role because he didn't understand the story of the character. Oddly, he turned down the role of Morpheus in The Matrix for the same reason. Regardless, I think it worked out for the best. So there's our top 10 actors who turned down huge roles. Tell us down below which one is your favorite. I'm Jason Dean for the Joe Blow Movie Network, and thanks for watching.